definitely rule the whole chart. It's the first 1-star I've had in a hot second. That impulse purchase has actually been so great for my reading life. Very impressive page count if I do say so myself. Actually worth it. Hey y'all, it's Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be looking at my reading stats for the year so far. Alright, before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below and tell me in the comments how many books have you read so far this year. Alright, so we are midway through the year, which means we have to start looking through how things are going. How are we doing? And maybe utilize these numbers to plan strategically for the rest of the year. Starting at the top, I have currently read 89 books. My goal, I believe, is 160, so I'm doing pretty solid on this. I was definitely behind there for a minute, but thanks to my 10,000 pages in 10 days video, because that helped me get ahead. With those 89 books, that works out to 25,227 pages. Very impressive page count if I do say so myself. A fair amount of these pages were done via audio, so those audiobook hours work out to about 432 hours for the year. Out of curiosity, I'm actually gonna look up. That's about 18 days worth of audiobooks. Granted, this is at one-time speed, which usually I don't listen to my audiobooks that slowly. So you could probably cut this number in half and that would be more likely to be accurate. Still an impressive number. I don't really have a goal for myself every single month as to how many books I want to read, but the last year I felt like my average was normally around 12. This year that has kind of gone down a little bit, but my books per month is kind of all over the place at the same time. So in January, I read 10 books. In February, I read 9. In March, I read 21, thanks to March Manga Madness. In April, I read 8. In May, I read 12. And then in June, I read 26. So far in July, I have read 3 books. I do really enjoy looking at the format of the books I am reading, especially because this ebook section keeps getting bigger, which I have to say is thanks to my Kobo. That impulse purchase has actually been so great for my reading life. So of the 89 books I have read, 35 of those were completely done on audio, 28 of them were done via ebook, 17 were done physically, and then 9 books were in some sort of a mix that usually means listening to it on audio and having it physically, or on audio and having an ebook. Now let's look at one of my favorite stats, my genre breakdown. It makes me so happy how diverse this wheel looks. Starting at the top, shockingly, I have actually read 6 romantasy this year. Romantasy is not usually a genre I particularly love, so this is a big deal. And also surprisingly, I have only read 6 fantasy books this year, which seems very low. I have read 2 graphic novels as well as 2 historicals, which I don't tend to read a lot of those. Though in third place for the most is horror at 15. I've read 2 books that fall into magical realism, meaning there's not really enough there to label it as fantasy, but it's definitely not contemporary. I've read 1 mystery, which also seems shockingly low, but mysteries just have not been going great for me in the last like 2 to 3 years. So I haven't been picking them up. I'm at 5 nonfiction books, which is lower than I want it to be, but at the very least I'm only behind by 1. I tried to read 1 nonfiction book a month, so clearly we're doing okay. In second place for the most read genre is romance. Unsurprisingly, I have read 16 romances. I've actually read 8 sci-fi, which also feels shockingly low. And then I have read 26 manga. Clearly, you can tell, manga definitely has taken a front seat when it comes to my reading tastes lately, but I've also just been trying to make progress on the series I'm working on. I do want to continue that as the year goes on, but I also need to try and make some time for my comics as well. We'll see how that goes as the year continues. One of my other favorite stats to look at is the rating breakdown. I really like looking at this pie chart, especially the fact that 4 and 5 stars definitely rule the whole chart. Feels very good. Unfortunately, I have decided not to finish 7 books so far this year. Actually, now that I think about it, that average is about 1 a month, which seems pretty normal for me. I have unfortunately had a 1-star. It's the first 1-star I've had in a hot second. I have had 3 2.5 stars, 12 3 stars, followed by 13 3.5 stars, 40 4 stars, which I love that. That looks great. And then 9 4.5 stars. So I like nearly all-time faved these books, and then 10 5 stars so far this year. This is great. That makes me so happy. Then let's look at the graph that I never know what to label this as, like books read from / where I got the books I read, something of that nature. So I read 5 books from Kobo Plus, which is okay. My goal is to always read about 1 Kobo Plus book a month. That way it makes my subscription actually worth it. So we are 5 out of 6. That's not awful. I have read 1 book that I got from Book of the Month. I still have a few of them. I actually think I'm down to only 3 Book of the Months left on my shelves. books. That's impressive. I bought 3 books only to turn right around and read them. Love when I do that. I read 11 books, which were gifts, and then I have read 49 books from my library. What can I say? I love my library. I read 11 books off of my owned TBR that had been hanging out there for a minute. 4 books I read through Spotify audiobook hours. I've read 8 books which I received from publishers. Shout out to NetGalley. And then 4 books that are under other. Other is kind of varied over the years. I think this one, it might currently be on Everand, or no, I think Everand is the most likely culprit right now. So kind of combining a few of these, one of my biggest goals as usual is to always try and work on my owned TBR. So I have read 26 books off of my owned TBR this year. That's great. In comparison to the 49 I've read from the library, I wish it was better. Next up, this big graph, which showcases the publishing year for what I'm reading. I feel like a lot of the time I'm not necessarily reading new releases, like right when they came out, but I'm reading books that are like 1 to 2 years old, so they're still on the newer side. So far, I've read 10 books which came out this year in 2026. I have read 15 books that came out last year, 11 books in 2024, 5 books from 2023, 13 books from 2022, and it kind of drops off a little bit after that, as you can see. Next up, intended audience for the books I am reading. Unsurprisingly, adult has continued to kind of overtake this graph. I feel like I have read a fair amount new adult lately. I do feel like that age range is becoming a little bit more popular, which, side note, I mentioned new adult as an age category to my brother, and he thought I was gaslighting him. He did not believe me for like a solid few minutes. He thought this was something I had completely made up. It was absolutely hilarious. Anyway, I have read 56 books which fall under the adult category. I have read 24 books which fall under new adult. And then occasionally I do still pick up something that is young adult, so I've read 9 so far. I'm currently in the middle of a book that I think kind of hangs out in like either YA or middle grade. That's gonna be interesting to kind of mark down. I don't know, we'll see at the end of the year where I decide to put that. And then diving into some stats about the authors that I'm reading from. I have read from 76 authors who are cisgender. I read from 6 authors who fall under the transgender umbrella, and then 7 where their gender identity is not known because there was no information about them online apart from their name. Next up is author race. I'm really glad with how this wheel currently breaks down. I do my best to try and get a 50-50 breakdown between white and BIPOC authors, and I'm doing pretty decent so far. I've read from 11 authors who are Black, 29 Asian authors. I read 2 books by Indigenous authors, though I believe both of those were by the same author actually. 1 book by a Latin author, and then 46 books from authors who are white. Last on this one is author gender. So unsurprisingly, most of the time the books I'm reading are written by women, so that works out to about 50% of the books I've read so far this year. But 35 books were actually written by men, and then 7 books that were written by authors who are non-binary. Next up, looking at my series tracker, I have finished out 5 series so far this year, and then made the decision to not continue on with 6 series. Now, sadly, one stat that I usually love to track but just have not been keeping up with this year is my library books. I love seeing how much money I am saving by utilizing my library. 49 books from the library. I have to assume it's still a fair number, but like I said, sadly, I've not been keeping track of this one so far. I'm bummed. It's just one of those things that's fallen by the wayside. Hopefully next year I will be back on top of it. And for this last little section, I thought it'd be fun to look through some of the stats that are collected over on StoryGraph. So I do have a StoryGraph as well as a Goodreads, and I do have to say I love the stats over on StoryGraph. So starting from the top, the average amount of time it takes me to finish a book is about 10 days, which like feels long if I'm being honest, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of the time I end up finishing numerous books on the same day. It's usually like I won't finish a book for a while and then I'll finish like 2 or 3 books right next to each other. I don't know if this is something I necessarily want to work on. It's just a weird fact I've picked up on. Next up is the moods for the books that I read. I thought this one was very fun. The highest number is actually adventurous with 34 books, followed by funny, which is amusing to me, pun intended. I don't feel like I tend to try and pick up books that I would constitute as funny, but if a book is funny, I do feel like it tends to win with me. So, but at the same time, 31 of the books that I read so far this year are also emotional or dark. Ironically, for having only read 1 mystery book, 23 of the books so far I've read have been mysterious. 21 were also lighthearted, 16 were tense, and then the rest of the moods I have are reflective, hopeful, informative, inspiring, relaxing, challenging, and sad. All right, and on that note, that's officially it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, we gotta leave some sort of graph emoji down in the comments. I've got links to all of my socials as well as a few ways you can support me down in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!